My Eagle Scout project is what I would consider an act of civil disobedience, largely because I had left scouting for the 2 years before the project. And I had left scouting because the scouts had canceled the Unitarian Universalist medal. So you could no longer get the medal of religious observance if you were a Unitarian, because they had decided that the Unitarians' concept of God was not consistent with the church's, I should say, the Church of Scouts, the Boy Scouts, Texas board's belief in what religion should be, and it had strayed too far from that Christian um, tradition at the time, and so I decided it wasn't the place for me. What brought me back was actually I was working at Ferry Beach, and I had been at the gala conference. This was back in the mid 90s when being out and homosexual was not okay, and gala was the week where uh, hundreds of gay men would come to Ferry Beach, and it was their one safe space in the entire year, and that had a pretty big impact on me. Uh, and to see and feel and be part of that experience, even as a staff member, was pivotal. And you have to also remember this is during the AIDS crisis. I would meet guys one year and they would have passed by the next year. So we were losing a lot of people. So there I was. I'm at Ferry Beach in the middle of this rousing conference of rainbows and feather boas and middle-aged gay men in all of their pride and peacock feathers. And there's this guy in a full Boy Scout uniform. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I went up to him like, you know, what's going on with the uniform? And he said, oh, I was I was actually a leader in Connecticut for 25 years, and so this would be 1994. I was talking with him, and in 1993, the United Way of Connecticut had canceled the funding for the Boy Scouts in Connecticut because this troop leader, actually he wasn't a troop leader, he was a leader within the council office. So he didn't actually even interact with the Boy Scouts. He had been kicked out of the Boy Scouts because it was established that he was gay, and that was not consistent with their values. And it became a scandal, and so he left, and it was it was a real sad story for him. But talking with him, it had a big impact on me that maybe I needed to go back into scouting and finish what I had started and get the Eagle Scout, but do it in my way, and not just leave the organization, because that doesn't really create any kind of a statement, but actually use it as an opportunity to continue to both learn and grow as a scout, but also to make my voice be heard as a as someone who wanted to make sure that these stories were being told, and the church needed to be recognized as part of scouting. So I came back into Boy Scouts with a very short timeline to finish all of the merit badges and the full Eagle project before I turned 18, which I think gave me about 9 months to do the whole thing. And so I needed right away to figure out an Eagle project. So started scanning around. I knew I wanted it to be at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester. And so I connected with Herb Adams, who was, such a great longtime supporter of the church and supporter of scouting. And so I connected with him, and he said, "I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for somebody to come along who wanted to do an Eagle project of the church. It's like, we can walk around, but I think I know what we need the most, but I'll help you a lot with that." I was like, "All right, that sounds good." So we walked around the church and we kind of went through the project list, the different things, and he saved the best for last. We went outside to the parking lot, and this is in the spring, so you could see where the plows had carved up all of the lawn because there was no transition between the parking lot and the lawn leading up to the church. And he said, "We need a fence, and we need a fence that we can take partly down during the winter and be able to plow the snow up to it, so that the grass doesn't get torn up every year." From there, now needed to do the typical project work of, I started arranging the troop, arranging the day, calling every DPW around, trying to get telephone poles, trying to figure out how you build a fence in New England, which was a big challenge. We called everybody together. We had the donuts and the coffee and the orange drink that McDonald's would supply that sure had lots of carcinogens in it. And yeah, on that first day, we had rented a post hole digger, this mechanical beast that you would hold on to with handles, and it would auger into the dirt. And we learned what every fence digger in New England knows, which is you're going to come upon rocks about 6 inches down, and you're just going to be fighting rocks, fighting rocks, fighting rocks. And so we we fought rocks for the whole day. We got some of the fence poles dug, and I think we even got one in, because we wanted to get one. And it was clear that the project was going to take another day or two. And so I connected with Herb after that, and we knew we needed to bring in some bigger guns. So so he and I coordinated with calling in some different favors for the church, and got a backhoe to come and dig other holes. So we got most of the front part done the first day, and those holes dug, but we needed the whole side of the driveway by the front, by the sanctuary. And so had the backhoe come, dug all those holes. Were able to arrange another day with the scouts of getting these massive fence posts into the ground. It was looking pretty good, but this was now this had taken many months to coordinate and get going. So now we're looking at late October, early November. And that November, we were able to arrange for the one of the earth movers to come back and kind of neaten up around the posts and help flatten everything out and get all the rocks into place. And it was looking really good. And they finished on I think it was a Wednesday, and that Friday, we had an early snow, 6 inches of snow fell, and that snow did not clear until well after my 18th birthday, which had to be the official end of all of this project. The project was a big challenge. I think the project was way more than your typical Boy Scout Eagle project. I was optimistic, had no idea how big it would be. I think it's it's a real testament to Herb and to the, all the different volunteers who helped make the project happen, that it happened, that it worked. And did I, ever think that I would have a project that, as a, 17-year-old would, last and look pretty good for what, uh, over over 20 years. The last piece of it was I got my wish that in the Eagle Board of Review, which has a bunch of folks from the council come, and so we all had to sit around and talk about this massive church project, and talk about the Unitarian Church and how the Unitarian Church was involved, and how the Unitarian Church really appreciated the effort, and how the Unitarian Church was, uh, a great contributor to the project, and how the Unitarian Church of Worcester, Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester, had been a great supporter of scouting for many years, and so I was very excited that it had all come together, and I was able to make my statement of support, that could both help the church and be something that would have to be enshrined in the Boy Scout records, as that was my project and that's who it supported. After all of this issue with the Unitarian Universalist religious medal being removed, I had been a little outspoken in my troop about this. And there we were now in the Eagle Board of Review. And we've got council representation, and we've got all the leaders of the troop. The leaders of the troop, a lot of them didn't like me at that point, because I was pretty outspoken and pretty political and wanted to get everybody involved in it. And they weren't really a big fan of that. And they also knew that I had no real long patience for authority, especially at that point in my life. Still now, but especially then. So there we were, all sitting around the table, and the leader from the Mohican Council says, this board of review is not to figure out if you can tie knots. It's not to figure out, did you learn how to start a fire? It is really to verify that you are one with the principles of scouting, and that you hold the principles of scouting up. And so, in this review, it would be, it's not about, did you learn a big skill? It's do you carry each day those things that are so fundamental to scouting? So, I mean, if we were sitting around and you had said, "Oh, I don't believe in God," well, that might be a big deal. But that's that's part of the principles of scouting. So we know that you've held up those truths. And here I am thinking, oh my gosh, as a Unitarian Universalist, I have had so many discussions at so many churches about the concept of God and what it means to be agnostic, and my personal opinions that certainly did not fit with this gentleman's concept. And all of my troop leaders started squirming, because they were just ready for me to start in on a rant. And I was like, all right, who's gonna say it? This kid does not believe in your God. What's gonna happen next? And they all just went silent, and I went silent, and we tried to just let that guy pass through his thought and on to the next thing. And so I almost lost it at that point. decided that it was more important to uh, not argue the point in that meeting, and continue to push ahead and be a voice in other areas. And my civil disobedience continued, and I got the stamp and got the Eagle badge. And I continue to be an Eagle Scout to this day and do my utmost to carry on the principles of scouting, because I still believe in it and still carry it with me, and I still know how to start a fire in the rain.